G'day guys, welcome to my Golden Slipper preview. Not something I'd like to usually get into early in the week, these sort of previews, but this race looks so intriguing and there looks to be so many different angles to come at it that I've spent quite a bit of time on it, so I thought I may as well put out there my thoughts, and they're a little bit different to some other angles that I've heard, so hopefully something different, and we'll get straight into it. The short price favourites obviously Hootson in early markets. Really can't knock her performances to date. She's run fast time every time she's been out there. She's led. Um, she's done it both ends. She sprinted last start, which was a new sort of thing for her with a big weight. She's drawn wide, which shouldn't matter here. I hear that Medinity's sort of talking about being ridden back, which looked the fly in the ointment for her if there was one, as a duel for the speed went. And it looks like there'll be pressure. It's a Golden Slipper, but it looks more chance that she's going to be able to do her own thing in front rather than be taken on by a number of runners at this stage. And on a wet track, they're all going to be trying to conserve as much energy as they can, which could play into her hands even further. She's been dominant, two of her starts. You could even say the Golden Slipper win was dominant. Chauffeur was coming out of late, but she'd done all the work, beaten them off, and ran away. And then the other day we saw what she did at Eagle Farm. Here, sort of working hard, a little bit hard to lead. This is why I like the wide gate that she's drawn. She's fast, but she's not like dynamic. She doesn't going to put herself there on one bound. So drawing 1, 2, or 3 might have been an issue for her. Now that she's drawn wide, she's going to get a chance to sort of make her own way across. And what you like is at the start of the race you can work on her and she'll give, and then at the end of the race you'll work on her and she'll give again, and she's just really is bomb-proof. You see all these gaps opening back in the field off a slow tempo, really good signs. I know this was just a 2-year-old open in Brisbane, but really tough to knock her. Her other great effort was obviously here at the Gold Coast, where again she's led from a wide gate. Really nothing gets near her here because she creates the pace, and like she's just dominant. The way she's just always a few lengths in front. My one reservation with her is that her form's questionable behind her all the way. You can't question her efforts. She's done all the work and really taken it to them everywhere you've gone. But even there, you see, look, Chauffeur hasn't made the field. Possibly, just a bit unlucky more than anything that he's not there today. But he is marked at a $61 chance, and you've got Hootson going around at $4.60. She's only had one run since, and so has he. It's hard to sort of line that thing up. It's really, I'm marking a favourite, but I'm not marking a $4.60 is kind of where I'm trying to go with this. It's just, there are a few question marks there to say that 1,200 metres on a heavy is enough to doubt her a little bit, but she is the one horse that I can see getting out in front and being dominant if there is going to be one, so I can't really knock her. Second favourite, basically joint favourites, are Catchy and She Will Rain. We'll touch on the She Will Rain 4 lines first. So looking through her form, she was really fast early. She put it 2 really quick runs, one at Kemba and a maiden, and then at Randwick in I think it was the English race, the $500,000 bonus race there. She did it all from in front, and then for mine, when she came back, she hasn't shown that dominance. She obviously, whether she missed the start there or they tried to ride her from behind to see what was going on. It's an interesting thing for me when they start, trying to change tactics and things. As I always think sometimes maybe they thought she might be vulnerable at 1,200 using the tactics that she'd adopted her first 2 starts. So they rode her from behind here. For mine, like she does a good job considering she was ridden against her pattern that she had been prior, but this was definitely not as explosive a performance for mine as what she'd shown her first 2 over a shorter trip, being ridden from the front. So she did a decent job here. Then she went to Randwick. chased a fast tempo again on a heavy track, on a very, very heavy track, even though it was a 9 at Randwick's, probably 12 at most places. It's not a forgiving surface. She travels pretty keenly. They try to ride her in behind. She's not conserving too much energy in the run. She still travels quite well. Looks the winner briefly here, but they are going very slow, the whole field at this point. Frolics finding the better ground. Two things to get from this for mine. Even though you've got this gap here, it's not quite as relevant for me in this race because Hootson was opening up gaps off a slow tempo on good ground. Harder to do off a slow tempo, harder to do on good ground. Here you've got horses off a fast tempo on heavy ground, slowing down, so the margins are going to open naturally. Horses are getting very tired, so they can be overdone. So for me, Frolic's extremely flattered by what's happened here. She will range the run of the race, there's no doubt about that. But the quality of the race overall, for me, questions whether the whole form line in general. If she was getting back on top of the ground, I could probably entertain her, but I really I'm going to probably mark her about 20 to 1, I think, and that's just probably as short as I can get her. Even though, she probably maps pretty well here, considering if there is a little bit of a lack of tempo, she'll probably cruise across into a decent position. Frolic's going to be out the back, going to have to try and circle them on a heavy track around Rosehill, not Randwick. There'll be no fast lane. I'll be marking her closer to 50 to 1. I don't really give her a realistic winning chance. I think she's done a great job to win the two races in a row that she has, and she's $250,000 and a $300,000 Group 2. She's done a great job, but I really think she has been very well placed to win those races, and I'm worried about her here. Catchy is an interesting runner. I'll go back and look at Pariah if I can. So we'll start with Pariah's first ever start in a race. And you've got Minari here, who's a dominant short price favourite coming off a win. So looking at them going back to the yard on this occasion, on type and everything, Minari was just so superior to anything in this race. Only bad luck could beat it, and that was kind of how it played out. Pariah as a type was just tough to line them up, but you would Minari was very clearly superior in my opinion. And what I'm trying to get at here is Minari was obviously desperately unlucky in this particular race. Pariah had all the momentum, all the chance in the world to get down the middle of the track, and Minari, even picks himself up after racing more forward in the run, being held up, no momentum, gets out, and is actually able to chase him back to within, a length and a quarter. Pariah then goes on from this and races without any luck at all in Melbourne, and gets beaten neck by Catchy or half a length when probably should have beaten it. So what I'm trying to say is the Minari form line ties in as stronger for mine. He's had a little break and a run since where he obviously wasn't fit on a really heavy surface. He's going to come right on. He's 25 to 1. Pariah $9, Catchy $6. I'm thinking there's something that has to be tweaked in this market. We'll go to Melbourne and we'll see what Pariah does here, where stuck wide and back a little bit off a slowish tempo. Even forced back and wider here. Sorry, we'll just go back. So it's actually in the middle. Actually in the middle here, being held up. Struggles to find clear running at the top of the turn. Extremely hard to run down a horse like the horses in front here that have had softer runs closer to a softish tempo. And he's done a really good job to get that close. He then went to a stronger race in the Blue Diamond, stepped up to 1,200 metres. Again, no luck. This time, actually went more forward. Can't see him here, but he's out 3 wide, no cover. Trucks into the race quite well. Coming around the bend here, you'll see. Stop it. Catchy's in behind. Tulip's in behind as well. Sorry, Tulip's in the white here, I think. I think this is Tulip here with the nose roll. Catchy's in here. This is Pariah, who's been wide and working, had clearly the toughest of the runs. Great sign that he can put these leaders away that have had softer runs at him. You see that Catchy picks him up, and really like the way she lengthens that last 50 to 100 metres. You can see that she flattens out really well. Tulip's in behind here, and saw what she did in the Sydney race. Again, I want to tie that in and try and work out, just trying to make sense of all this form. So if you say Pariah was unlucky, Catchy was, I'm not going to say she was lucky to win that, because she's put up a big performance coming back wide, strong, late. So if you sort of say they're a similar performance, I'm still saying Minari's form potentially is better. His setup's probably not as good as the other two, but if he's come on from that heavy track run a couple of weeks ago, and by, if this track's a little bit more forgiving and he's fitter and gets a bit of a suck from the inside run, I'm saying he should be shorter than the Melbourne horses. So, Catchy's going around at $5 or $6, going to be back and chasing on a heavy surface here. Pariah's drawn nicely. I'd have it short, like similar price in the market to Catchy. So, say Catchy's 6 and Pariah's 9, I'd have them probably both around a $7.50, $8 chance, and I'd have Minari about similar. And considering he's $34 with Centrebet currently, I think that's a very, very nice price. The next form line to probably look at is the Trapeze Artist and Trekking form line. So the form line that's coming through the Black Opal. This is a slow tempo, but the time overall was pretty solid. Interesting horse, this horse in Trapeze Artist, in that he came through. His first start was over 1,250 metres in a maiden at Newcastle. He's come from behind there and really hit the line strongly. He then went quickly up in grade and found a heavy surface and ran okay, both without blinkers. He was then 2 weeks into this race, or 2.5 weeks, blinkers on, ridden more aggressively, and what he does at the end is really, really good stuff. Trekking's in this same race, first up from a spell in a pretty tough little race. I thought his effort's also good. This horse is like a horse you want to find in this race. He's hard fit. He's had 3 1,200 metre runs. If you say that he went to another level last start, which he did with the blinkers on, if he can continue that forward progression, and he's going to be one that's going to be up towards the pace and rolling, and he's a horse that'll get through the ground, no troubles for mine, as in fitness-wise levels are there, and he's going to be up there and travelling and strong. I can't see him being a $41 chance, which he currently is with a couple of people around the place. You just keep an eye on Trekking out here late. So he's up on speed, dominated the pace, ran away from him. He definitely had tempo to suit, but he's pretty dominant to my eye, and it's pretty hard to knock him on it. I did really like the way Trekking got home late, because I've got time for this David Hayes runner, and obviously Chauffeurs in here. These aren't absolute, it's not the weakest race in the world. So Trekking can come on from that, and he's a horse that's interesting at about the $40, $35, $41 mark as well. So I don't think that's the weakest race coming here, and I like that it's a little bit different form line, because you can punch a few holes in some of the other runners' preparations and lead-up runs. Teaspoon's a little bit interesting for mine. It's a horse that's got a bit of pace, come from wide. His last run was probably his best, even though he's beaten a length and a half, and it was the only time she's been beaten. She's tough. She's an improver. She's from that same family as Gary Moore's horse, Baccarella, who just kept improving. Hard to catch that family, and another one that's 40 to 1 up there, fit. It's the pick of the two from the Michael Friedman yard from me, and I'm thinking it's got a bolter's chance as well. There's quite a few around that mark. Just looking down the page to see if there's any other horse. The other horse I was interested in, I was really interested in Single Bullet early in its career. Has never put in a bad run. Its first run was Ryan, was full of credit. I think he's still 6 months from being the horse that he's going to want to be. He's definitely a 3-year-old, but for him to have that short break, come back 6 weeks later and run that well on the heavy track at Randwick, I think he's ridden too close, but he has to be. He's had to be. He's been a product of you know, his environment the last two, and I'm thinking he's not come out of the strongest races in the world, but he's been ridden against his pattern on strong tempos. If he's ridden back a little bit cold and gets a few things to suit, he's a nice enough horse at, you know, $33, $34 that he can really show up to. So they're the main runners that I'm really wanting to have a, you know, the preview of. So for me, Hootson, I can't knock her. $4.60 is probably about right. $5 or $6 is probably somewhere around where I'll mark her, because she does really tick all the boxes. Tulip is, you know, $11, $12. I think that's probably pretty close to its mark on the back up hard fit. But the other two that come from Melbourne, Catchy and Pariah, they don't have that fitness bouncing ability of the run from last week, so they're probably a little bit superior form-wise, but that fitness edge to Catchy probably keeps them similar. So they're all going to be around that 10-1 mark. I'm going to be marking a lot of horses in that region. Minari, I'm going to be marking a little bit shorter than that. I think he's clearly the value of the race at around the $34 mark currently. Plenty of $26 available with the rest of corporates. Trapeze Artist and Trekking is definitely a race that I'm interested in and think there's value there, especially Trapeze Artist. Trekking might be half a run short, but definitely over the odds, and Single Bullet's the other one that's hard fit. Maybe 6 months away from being his best, but definitely can pick this up with breaks going his way for sure. So betting around the She Will Reign form, Frolic form, a little bit soft on the Melbourne form, and really just trying to find some value in horses that can improve. Going to be hard fit, preferably racing somewhere really close to the tempo, and should be there for a long way. So hopefully that helps, and hopefully, you know, one of these roughies salutes, and it'll be a good day. Looking forward to it. Cheers, guys.